Well, a very good morning to you. Welcome yet again to Game on Hay. And it's another day with two very, very important matches. After the excitement yesterday of Pakistan completing their third successive win, there's a lot to play for today. Right, let's just tell you first of all who is playing today. There are two very important matches, as I say. The first one is in Sharjah, live on air at 3 o'clock this afternoon between South Africa and Sri Lanka. Two teams, of course, still very keen to see if they can get into the top two in this group. And the second match, well, it's always a huge clash when Australia meet England. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, what's at stake. But today, of course, equally so. The side that wins that game will go to the top of the group and will head ever closer towards the semi-final. So that's at 7 o'clock this evening, and that game will be in Dubai. So two really, really good games. Before we meet our guests again this morning, but you can guess who they are, let's just have a quick look at the points table, because that, of course, will put everything into perspective. Everyone is vying for those top two places. Just a reminder of Group 2. That was the group that was in action yesterday. Pakistan, 6 points, 3 matches, 3 wins. At the moment, Afghanistan say in second. But, of course, New Zealand and India will be hoping that their form improves. They've only played 1 match each. Group 2 has to catch up in this tournament so far. So it's likely to be between New Zealand and India as to who will also qualify for the semi-finals from Group 2. But, of course, time will tell. But today's games, they are all about Group 1. And so England and Australia currently top. So you'd expect, but there's nothing safe in this tournament, I can tell you, you'd expect that it will still be between England and Australia at the end of the group stages. But today's winner will go ahead and will take 6 points. The other game, of course, between South Africa and Sri Lanka, well, the winner of that one will head to 4 points. So it is likely to be between, I mean, I'm not putting the West Indies out of this, Viv, but it's likely to be between those 4 sides who gets into the semi-finals. Anyway, meet the guests yet again. First of all, of course, Sanamir is here. Welcome. How very nice to see you. Aaqib, Javed, Sir Viv Richards, who I'm going to call today Vivlad.
You're still my friend.
This is a, indeed I am. This is a mark of respect. Just to put that in perspective as well, Vivlad was what your captain at Somerset, Brian Close, used to call you.
The late Brian Close.
The late Brian Close, a very good captain. It's also, by the way, what he used to call his wife. Now, I don't want to put that in.
You're still my friend.
But it's a mark of definite affection. Right, let's discuss these games. South Africa versus Sri Lanka. As we say, they are vying for 2 points to get them up to 4 points. It's still very competitive in this group. Even your side, Viv, even your side, West Indies, have an outside chance, but they do need others to help them out.
Well, that's as you know, over the years, we have never, ever depended on anyone to help us out. These guys are in a position today they haven't played well enough. That is why I think I said the other day that they are in the position that they are in today. But one of the most important things for me is Quinton de Kock. You know, he's back in the team. You would have heard some of the stuff that went on before. And what I think is so important, he's such a magnificent player. And I think when you have such a talented individual, there are some questions marks before whether he was going to be or not. I think they would have come to some sort of agreement about how they go about maybe the respect factor, who's going to take a knee or who's not. And I think just to have him back in the team in itself and to know that they would have settled their issues, to me, it's a starting point.
Well, I mean, it's a very, very important point. The statement that he issued a couple of days after he failed to take his place in the side and stood out as resisting, what he was saying was he was resisting being told what to do, but he made it very clear that he has a mixed-race family, a black stepmother, that he understands all the racial issues that South Africans inevitably understand, and that he's also said that he will take the knee as a gesture of unity with the team. That finally, because what seems to have happened is they had so many conversations, I'm led to believe, as a team, without really agreeing what they were going to do. But now they've agreed that unity is all, and they must represent the country and stand together, and by all taking the knee. So that's a real big step forward, and it means it opens the way for him to return to the side.
I mean, look, when you're playing for the team, there are certain team rules you have to follow, and then yesterday we had a discussion about respecting individuals, professionals, let them, play their game on their own natural way, but you can't compromise the team rules. There are certain rules with team sets because 15 individuals make it a squad and then 11 gets on the side. So that's a rule because somebody has to make a decision to make 11 out of 15. Selection policies, certain disciplines for the team overall is important, but happy to see de Kock stepping up, apologizing and supporting the team and respecting the team discipline.
Yeah, I mean, I agree absolutely. There has to be that unity, if achievable, if possible. But Sana, do you think there's ever a situation where an individual's personal priorities and principles overcome that?
I mean, this is a very tough balance, but what I would say is that yes, empowerment for me as a woman, as a cricketer, or whatever I practice is about choice. That I should be able to choose, but I need to be sensitive while I'm choosing. It cannot only be about myself. It has to be bigger than myself. And when we are part of the team, I think there was miscommunication between the management and de Kock, and I'm really glad that it is past now. And I have to really give credit to the captain, Bavuma, for who we have been talking about his captaincy and lack of experience or whatever. But the way he has handled this situation, that is great for me because he didn't pass any remark, even though he's a colored player, on what at that point in a critical match, de Kock, he respected his choice, and as a result, we have seen that the South African team will become stronger because of this incident. Because now Bavuma also understands his responsibility, and Quinton also, he started with an apology, which was great to start a statement with. And I mean, now it's more respect within each other for all of them.
It's a very good point, because it was interesting to see, first of all, what Temba Bavuma said himself about Quinton. And there is respect there. And secondly, in reverse, Quinton was very keen to make the point that he respects Bavuma as a good captain and as a good leader of this group of multicultural individuals.
Yeah, and that's where I just want to end my input, that if we really want to change hearts, it has to be with love and compassion. It cannot be by force. And that's what I think Bavuma stood for, and that's what Nelson Mandela also stood for, and that's what, whenever we want to change something, it has to be like that. We cannot force change like that.
Okay, and you're right, that's what South Africa wants to stand for as well. Now, let's just talk about the cricket, because that's what we're here for today. If de Kock is back in the side, as we expect, and should be opening the innings again, in the one game he's played, he didn't exactly star. It was a low-scoring game, the first game. He didn't make many runs, but he has the potential, of course, to change games.
Oh, he's a magnificent player. That is why I guess franchises around the world would employ such individual. And we also saw maybe the effect of him not being in the team from the beginning, after we've had this little fiasco, that the standing wicket-keeper didn't quite do a good job in terms of dropping a catch, one that went straight to him. Having maybe the Kock back in the team, maybe the bowlers may feel a little safer.
Maybe, well, they hope, obviously,
Especially the bowlers.
well, it's always been said, is it not, that you want your wicket-keeper to be a wicket-keeper first and a batsman second, so those catches are taken. I mean, Heinrich Klaassen was the man who, Klaassen was the guy who dropped the catch the other day, so he is potentially vulnerable because the guy who opened, and we're back to this guy thing, the guy. The guy who opened, Hendricks, he got 39, so actually he did a pretty good job coming in like that. So actually there's a chance they might keep Hendricks middle order, leave Quinton at the top of the order again.
Yeah, I mean, look, South African, they have impact players. With all the due respect with their policies and everything, but as cricket fan, people wants to see a competitive cricket on the screen. Leave your policies with you. you don't care, and who you're not interested in that. But still they have player people wanted to see. De Kock is a very impact player, can take the game away from any opposition, especially in the six
The power play.
power play.
yeah.
And I think they need to have a balance. In this format, South African, since 90s, you see every competition is there. The reaches of the semis and putting pressure on other teams. So I think today it's about the young, rebuild Sri Lankans and South African outstanding individuals. As team, when you say it's a team means we heard problems in the team. So when somebody outside hears something, oh God, there's something going on in that team, the inquiries are going in there, different, people have their own making statements, making decisions, so means there is something not good about as team. So when you see Sri Lankans, they're young, unknown, but very, very effective players. They're young.
You've always maintained that. You speak. I remember the last time that we were on the panel, you spoke about maybe having this young team. They may not win, but it's a team that you believe in the future may be solid enough.
I mean, look, we've seen Sri Lankan team cruising in the 90s, winning the 96 World Cup was big thing. But now this team I can see reaching to that level because they have all the ingredients like two quick bowlers, two mystery bowlers, spin bowlers, and they have enough talent in the batting.
But then the experience they need will come over the next couple of years. So, for instance, the next T20 World Cup might be their time. Okay, let's have a look now, though. Let's start with South Africa. Let's just check out the squad that they have available. And I can tell you, we can tell you we're almost certain that Quinton de Kock will reclaim his place in the side as the opening batsman and, of course, as the wicket keeper. It means that Reza Hendricks might move down the order. Klaassen was the man who kept wicket the other day, but he is potentially vulnerable. I mean, they've got various options there, but they have, as you say, got strong seam bowling with Rabada, Nortje. They've got strong spinners in Maharaj and Shamsi, and those are the key elements.
Yes, I mean, look, the bowling is really effective because what you need in T20s, we saw the other day why West Indies is struggling. It's not about only their batting, it's about their bowling. T20 cricket is all about pace and pacing off. Okay, you bowl 1, 2, 3, 145, 50, and then dropping to 123. So if your majority of the bowler are bowling 125 or 7 or 27 or 30 under 30, what pace off they will have? So, and then your wrist spinners, your mystery bowlers. So South African got good for very effective, world-class bowlers.
Yeah. And the other thing, actually, Sam, is they have one of the form batsmen of the tournament in Aiden Markram, who's made runs in both games.
And yes, and what's really impressive about Aiden has that he has made those runs with a very healthy strike rate. Last match, he was 51 not out on 26 deliveries, and so he's commanding and has been dominant against a lot of the bowlers that he's facing. And that's a great sign because Van der Dusen was building the innings, 41 deliveries, 29 runs. So he's playing a role like Asif Ali that we have seen for Pakistan. He's finishing the innings, but he has played it for longer. So he's got the 50s under his belt. And I think South Africa has been performing as a team. Pretorius, we were talking about, he got 3 wickets. Maharaj, we know. Enric Nokia, 4 overs, 14. So they have really performed. And with that incident, I still feel sometimes these incidents gel the team even stronger. And they have a bigger purpose now. They are playing for the pride and the cause. So I do feel, because whichever team wins today's match will come in at par with whoever loses between
Correct.
Australia and
And England, England and
Yeah.
Australia both on 4 points. You're
Yeah.
right. Sri Lanka, South Africa, and West Indies.
So
Never forget West Indies. but
so it's
they're all
an
on 2 points
equally
at the moment.
important match for these two teams as it is for England and Australia.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have a look at the Sri Lankan squad as well. Again, it's a really good mix, isn't it? A really good mix of talented young batsmen, but that's the key. They're sort of younger batsmen coming through, but they've shown a lot of talent in the tournament so far. They do have a little bit of pace. They've got the spinners who are outstanding, and that is always key in Sharjah where they're playing today. But in terms of the batsmen, there are the likes of Javed Lanka, who's got runs. Hasaranga's been good. Rajapaksa's got runs as well. I mean, these are the men you were talking about who have started to make a name for themselves in this tournament.
I mean, look, they surprised Pakistan, 2.5 years back when Misbah and the regime took over from Mickey Arthur, because he built a very good white ball cricket team, which was number one almost like 2.5 years. The next regime still wanted to rebuild. To become champion of the champions. Bring force changes, I don't know for what, but Sri Lankan young, this team, and we all talk about, nah, this is not Sri Lanka team, this is like a second instinct of Sri Lankan team. Young, unknown guys, they came and beat Pakistan in Pakistan, almost like 3-0.
Yeah.
In Pakistan?
Yes.
Unheard of.
That's almost rude.
Unheard of, yeah.
Yes.
Rude.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
total disrespect.
Yes, it is. And I think the way they played against Bangladesh, the way they're playing at the moment, I think this team will challenge almost all the team in that group. They has to, because they have the quality, they have the batters. Rajapaksa, time and again, I saw him in Pakistan winning 2 out of 3 games single-handedly, and he was the captain at the time, isn't
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is this. We talk a lot about the reasons that teams play well, that individuals play well, and it's personal pride, national pride, all the incentives. And we talked, for instance, yesterday about Pakistan, Afghanistan, the local rivalry. But for instance, with Sri Lanka, because they're this young team, in a sense, it takes away all that. They've just got the freedom to play, because if they do well, people love it. Obviously, their country will love it and the team will love it. If they have the odd bad moment, people will be forgiving because they're so young. But I mean, obviously, the key competitive spirit means they want to try and win at all times, of course, like everyone else.
Yeah, and the kind of cricket, the brand of cricket they have put on so far has been very impressive. They've won 4 games, then 1 game against Australia, which at one point they were looking really good. It was only in the middle over 7-15 when they lost 4 wickets in 50 runs. Otherwise, they were looking really good. And even in the bowling department, I think it was the fielding that let them down. Otherwise, like Aaqib said, they have all the ingredients in the bowling to put pressure on anyone. So if you drop Warner's catch, he's going to make you pay.
That is very, very true.
And he did.
Yeah, very true. And again, the other thing is that, okay, with all these young players, those that have been around a little longer, I mean, for instance, here's an example. Kusal Pereira has been around for a while, talented player, again, a good striker. So if he gets going, and he's like a mentor, I guess, even though he's not exactly 40 years old, he's not like a Chris Gale, senior heading for the exit door slowly. But he's around, he's talented, he's been around for a long time, so he is the sort of man you can follow their example.
I mean, look, the other day, the Viv mentioned that the quick hands in short format, quick hands, because only the 2 fielders outside the ring. So if you have quick hands, it doesn't need you don't want to hit like 100 meter. You just wanted to just have a quick hand, just
Get to the ball.
get to the ball over the ring, 4 runs. So I think he's got that spark. It reminds me a little bit of Jayasuriya, isn't it?
Everyone reminds us of Jas. So let's have a little bit of a look anyway at Kusal Pereira. Here he is. I mean, this is the sort of thing that he can do. He's an aggressive player. Everyone
He's a big,
has
strong
to be
guy.
aggressive.
Big,
Yeah,
strong
yeah,
fella. That's a good shot. No one's going to stop that. Here he goes again. And all lefties, they'll love it in that area, David.
Oh, of course.
Wow.
Absolutely. That's a
Over the
great
top.
shot.
That's gone big. That's a biggie.
Well, actually, it's a good point. Everyone has role models. If you're Sri Lankan, you've basically got Jayasuriya,
Yeah.
Jayawardene, so very different sorts of player.
Yeah.
Sangakkara.
Yeah.
Okay, as a left-hander, I would prefer to model myself on Sangakkara. But for this form of the game, I'd quite like to be Jayasuriya because you hit the ball
You can
a
be
long,
the,
long
you
way.
can be, you can be the two.
Could be all three. If you or here's another plan. You can just be yourself.
And Kusal Pereira, I think he used to bat right-hander before he wanted to become became a left-hander. So I mean, it's incredible how talented these players are and how your role models can affect how you take up your own game. It's incredible.
Because those two individuals, actually, Jayasuriya and his partner,
Yeah.
they changed the whole format of the
Yeah,
game. in itself.
Kuluvadrana.
Yeah, everyone's wanted to.
I
yeah.
still remember one game. It was like Sri Lanka versus England, and it was Faisalabad. Many people refused to bowl in Faisalabad. Dennis Lilly is oh.
And
And then I saw, what was that Seema?
From which team?
England in '96. There was that black guy who used to
De Freitas, maybe?
De Freitas.
Philip,
De Freitas.
Philip.
He started having a two-seam bowling overs,
Yeah.
and I saw him bowling off-spin to Jayasuriya.
That was
In the
actually,
World
that was a very famous game because England got destroyed
Yeah.
by that batting.
Yes.
Went everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So let's not talk about that. Right, let's have another look. We've got another very talented man. As I say, you can go through the list of these Sri Lankans. Charit Asalanka is also one of those young Sri Lankans who's been in great form the last couple of games. And you might as well start saying
That's a good
now,
shot.
just like Jayasuriya.
Didn't try to overhit that.
Yeah.
Power. After the first shot, then the power. Here he goes again, totally in control. Swept it quite. I think maybe the one that he got out too. I think he was trying to play that particular shot that he just played. Straight down the ground as well. Didn't time that as well as he would have liked, but you could see the intention.
But again, this is about the balance, isn't it? Because if you've got the strength to hit the ball for six, or power it for four, that's one thing. But also the cleverness of a controlled sweep shot into a gap. I mean, if you want to use Jayawardene, for instance, as an example, he wasn't a muscle man, was he? But he had all the talent to find the gaps with timing and placement.
I mean, look, Babar Azam, he's been number 1, 2 players from last many years, and he doesn't slog. So
Plays good cricket shots.
it's about having a balance, good ground covering, balance, and playing with your hands, finding the gap. It's not about always a slog or sixes. Gale is there, universe boss, but at the same time,
What you doesn't associate. The
I mean, look,
universe boss
at the
with
same time, you can be successful in your own way. Gale is that side kind of player,
a young Gale.
and Babar Azam, if you compare two guys, they're day and night difference. But still, both are the best.
Listen,
Best players.
if you cannot power the ball over the boundary at times, it is also important that you got to go back to the drawing board.
So this is the strength of this team. They have good techniques. They're playing proper correcting shots. They're not only relying on slogs. They had the down, they're watching the ball and playing the proper cricket shots. That's why I'm hopeful that these young players will cruise at the top.
And get better and
And
better.
get
Okay, well, no, it's good praise, good things to say about them. Right, lots more to talk about, of course, as we look ahead to these two games today in Group 1. But for now, let's just take a short break.
Introducing Nestle Fruta Vitals. Sparkling fruit drink. A delightful fusion of soda and fruit juice.
Golden Fuji gas और इलेक्ट्रिक